So there's a huge opportunity out there for us to go and tap, especially those of us who have multi-city presence. And how do we really go about it? We need some fresh ideas, we need fresh insights. And for that, we have with us Damodar Mal. And Damodar has a very, very interesting profile. He's a consumer industry guy. His specialities are supermarket retailing, food value chain, e-commerce, building retail businesses from idea to full ventures, grooming consumer product brands at Unilever and now at Future Group. So he has substantial experience, with Big Bazaar in working in tier 2, 3 towns and setting up new formats. He's worked on micro-entrepreneurship models. So without wasting much time, I'd invite Damodar. Damodar, please share your thoughts on what we can learn from the consumer goods industry and how we can reach out to beyond 15 cities, where bulk of our AUM is about 80% comes from there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you and namaste. The reason why we should be conversing is modern retail or the self-service retail that the world that I inhabit is about as young in this country as organized, branded, private sector, mutual fund investment as an option for the consumer is. And whether we like it or not, when you move it at a family level, when you move it at an individual customer level, even if it's investment decision, it is not all rational. We must own it at stage one, that while you and I may be able to see returns and progress and increase in the portfolio to the last decimal in our Excel sheets, I don't think most of the people who invest at a B2C level look at it like that. We must own it up. We must own up the fact that people will eventually be investing because somebody calls, some good old big daddy calls their mutual fund master share and has a branding symbol which people can relate to and can achieve a penetration level of the kind that was unprecedented. So when people, even when people invest in equity, you need a Pied Piper like the senior Ambani to break the mold and come out, so which is not rational. I think for retail, where we are really selling consumer goods to customers, the modern format of self-service is actually in-your-face intimidating. Completely change of habit. It suddenly exposes the customer with no help being given from the shopkeeper. There are people who have asked for permissions from our store's security staff, whether they are allowed to enter. There are people, I have witnessed, there are people who remove their chappals before they enter a supermarket. So all the mindset issues that exist with anything that is modern, we live that every time we go beyond the metros. So some lessons from there, some things in the journey, some clues as to how we think. I'm sure we'll find some of this useful. First and foremost is to all multinationals, and I worked for one, and all of us have learned that it's a good place to start, that you acknowledge the customer and not try to educate her beyond a point. For me, consumer goods business, I'll keep referring to the customer as she, but I guess the emotions are not very different even beyond. Those who don't do it, actually with the best of knowledge, with the best of might and the strongest of hammers in consumer goods industry, have been decimated by this woman who is confident, who listens a lot to her community, listens a lot to her family, and believes that the family as a resident of wisdom is stronger than anything that the brands themselves can do. I'll take an example of the most successful marketing model in the world, and this has outlived everything else. This is, I call religion, and when you dispassionately look at it, it's actually leisure industry. It's actually a feel-good place where the customer puts in all the effort. The customer bows down to the service provider, customer pays the money, and goes back with nothing. And yet it's such a large industry which is successful. So obviously it's all pure marketing. And how does it design? How does it work? How does it work every time? Whether you choose your brand color as green, or whether you choose your brand color as saffron, or whether you take your symbols of various kind, it consistently works all the time. And when you distill it as a marketer, the model of religion, the best marketers, is start with a belief and keep it a little controversial. It's fine. It does not have to encompass everybody. You don't have to include everybody in your intended followers. Put in a business system of symbols, rituals, and stories. And again and again, irrespective of the starting belief that you have, miracles follow. Miracles to me as a marketer is unsupervised consumer behavior on part of a large number of people. So whenever we begin and whenever we think internally at Future Group, we keep this in mind that the God to us as consumer business people, the God to us is really the model of marketing of religion. Big Bazaar is a brand. This is the only brand that in India today has established itself in all regions of the country, and even in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So just a glimpse of how, when you are able to crystallize your belief, how it impacts your design and all of it. So Big Bazaar, the brand Big Bazaar's point of view about the Indian customer is there are no nuclear families. Now, is that the truth? No. All of us rationally hear that increasingly families are getting nuclear, husband, wife, 1 or 2 kids is the new unit. But like I said, if you want to be successful in marketing, your belief must be a little controversial and not include everybody else. Big Bazaar's belief is, even if you physically live in nuclear families, and indeed, data, 43% of metro households have at least one senior citizen member living with them. So it's not way off data. But the brand belief is actually beyond data. It says even if you live physically in a nuclear family form, mentally you do not. And everything good in the family, everything of the slightest nature of shareable item is quickly shared with extended family. And therefore, the model of happiness for a family is when 3 generations are together. The best times of your year are spent when 3 generations are together. That's the belief system which the brand wants to tap into. All of us can rationally argue that reality can be different, but it's a stance that a brand takes, and when that happens, when the brand says that my customer listens to my community a lot more than it listens to the brand itself, or that families shop, even if it's a chore in the rest of the world, in India families shop together. When that happens, many things in the brand's expression automatically change. If I'm brand Big Bazaar, and if my belief is what is stated on top here, then I would try and get these elements in my design in some manner, in my behavior in some manner or the other. If people shop in this manner, then every facade of Big Bazaar will always have 3 generations together. Because in the mental model of the customer, that's well-being. Saas and Bahu happily doing household things, maybe utopia, and may not exist in data points, but that is the symbol of well-being that is coded in our minds, and the brand takes the position which says we acknowledge that. When it comes to going into smaller markets, we've realized that the advice always was you must know your local market, you must customize your offering, and you must be in tune with the nuances of the market. Having been in most states of the country, and we internally say that states is actually like individual countries that you have to manage. They're so diverse, etc. Of course, you need to understand local reality. But the real difference that you can make when you go to smaller towns, etc., is to stand for who you are and not try and mold into, especially if you are modern retail, especially if you cannot hide the fact that you are different and you are modern. It's good to wear it on your sleeves. People actually trust you for the newness and the symbolism that you bring with you. This is from a big bazaar in Kerala, and there are many cases of this kind. Women customers told us not in Kerala, for example, told us not to reduce our range of salwar kameez sets which are during season, saying the rest of the things that we need exist here and are available. If you are modern, if you are really the external influence and all of us want it, then stay true to that and don't be shy of it. So, in many ways, people who bring discontinuity into whether it is consumption or whether it's investment, if you stand for the modernity and the newness, is good not to be shy about it, good not to mold into the local phenomena. We run, in a few districts, we run a self-service model which really goes to semi-rural markets, and it's called Aadhaar, and we are actually the agents. We are the places where people find things that they would otherwise need to travel to the Ahmedabad and the Chandigarhs of the world to find products. That's what we stand for, and we need to live that role in the life of the customer. No, we don't serve everybody. When I'm running an Aadhaar self-service supermarket, we don't serve everybody. The kind of profile that comes to us is people who are relatively more urban mindset, but they live there. There is hunger, there is money, there is aptitude to embracing modernity that exists there, and it's good to service that instead of saying, how is it that retail is done? How is it that consumer goods are traded in those markets? Try and ape it. The moment you put an Aadhaar in a Kasbah town, self-service store in a Kasbah town, all school teachers come out. The bank manager in the evening comes there with his wife. Both of them pick up a trolley and start shopping. No bad thing. There are always early adopters. It's good to embrace the early adopters and stay true to who you are, and the rest of the market then follows. No one better than Big Bazaar to really break the mold and push adoption levels down to people of all economic and psychographic backgrounds in the top 15 cities, as you say. Curious, the towns that he mentioned, Coimbatore, Nagpur, and Indore, are all towns which have multiple Big Bazaars. They're not, so that is not the front line of modernity. These are all cities where established. Nagpur is one of the very early Big Bazaars that we run. It has 5 Big Bazaars. Nasik has 3 Big Bazaars. Indore, I think, Indore also has 2+, and it has all other modern formats. So this is not really, in that sense, if you are if you are selling a modern idea, this is not the frontier. The frontier is actually even deeper. So these are safe places to be going and hunting for, for pitching a modern offering to the market. This is specifically our learning when we look at pitching supermarket retailing of the Aadhaar kind, where we are actually trying to discover the frontier of how deep can an offering of that kind go. A very good ally to have is the local entrepreneur. No brand that thinks in the top 4-5 cities can really tune itself to local realities fully well. So it's good to have an ally that exists. And what we are discovering is that in the local entrepreneurs also, there is a huge need to ally with branded and large corporates and wear that on the visiting card, on the name board of their enterprise, because that gives them acceptance, power, and also a social status in a jiffy, in a quick, short movement. People say when we run our stores in smaller markets, if the sale is 100, the credit that we have to give is 90 in the market, irrespective of the trade that we are doing, including grocery sales. But the moment the store is branded, the moment it is self-service and the billing is, these are all symbols. And in the end, we are just selling goods and taking money from the customers. But the moment the billing is done with scan, the credit requirement, credit to be given to the customer, goes down to 10%. And it's not even known to most of the customers, and they're happily doing the same transaction in cash. And we all know that in a business, if you, which is so used to, when the category is so used to credit being given, and if there is an external catalyst which can turn it into a cash business, it just changes the dynamics completely. The other part of what the local entrepreneur brings in is the social capital of that place. Smaller the market, the greater is the bonding in the community that exists. People know each other. And I call it the social capital because of experiences of the kind that when we appoint a franchisee, and the franchisee in a smaller market, whether it's Punjab or in Gujarat, when he or she opens a store, on day one, everybody in that market comes and shops at the store for reasons which are non-rational, for reasons which are community-driven, for reasons which are camaraderie-driven. What works, I don't need to analyze. I just capitalize on it. We indeed start all our marketing for franchisee stores 3 days after the launch. Because for the first 3 days, he's just coping with the community overwhelming support. And people say, when somebody is starting a business, and this is very, very visible in a place like Gujarat where everybody is a trader, what is the use of coming and giving flowers and good wishes to a new enterprise? The best way to wish well to a new enterprise is to go there, be a customer and shop. Everybody comes, no questions asked, no prices asked, just experiences a new way of shopping and pay the bill and they go away. That kind of social capital, if that is fused with the offering that we stand for, can lead to surprisingly positive results. So it's good to have a local entrepreneur. You don't have to, again, mold into the ways of the local entrepreneur. You need to be yourself and believe in the fact that even for that entrepreneur, having an alliance with a branded external player has many advantages beyond the rational. Many advantages that are of social nature. People take franchisees of supermarkets to get their sons married. People take franchises of supermarkets to make sure that the bahu who is educated can have something modern even within the small town that they are in. And we've just begun this in the city of Delhi as well. You'll be surprised the reasons beyond rational for people to be associated with modern brands like of the kind that you and I run are again a lot beyond rational, lot beyond commercial. So we must tap it, respect it, and build on it would be my lessons from this. While everybody knows and we talk about money in the smaller markets, with commodity prices having gone up, serious money has flown back to smaller markets, and they and they're younger, they consume the same media. To me, those are the things that all of us have heard. But one thing where the potential energy is much larger, and I don't think businesses tap on it enough, is the potential energy that is built on the fact that for the last 15, 20 years, women have seriously been educated at all levels. And if you are in a smaller market, the avenues to meaningfully employ this, avenues to work, avenues to use your skills are limited. And even enterprise or the traditional businesses in these markets are not of the nature which are very welcoming to include women in very serious roles. Women, therefore, educated women end up doing things which are, and I'm generalizing to make this point, things which are stereotypical. Anything that can be done in a modern way and uses the fact that women can work near their place of stay in markets of this kind will really tap into this very large force of manpower as well as of the intellectual power. I think the passion is raring to go has been our learning, and I think investment products is one thing. Investment products being sold to families is one thing that would really appeal to being taken the last mile with participation of women who can absorb the content, absorb the offering, and share it with the families ahead. They really need more modern businesses to be part of, and it's a very, very large and serious workforce. There are people in small towns that they're businessmen who have shared with us a commercial proposition by which we offered franchises to smaller towns. Businessmen have, by choice, taken up the franchises so that their wives can work in them and be in charge of the store. Because they say everybody in business, all opportunities for women to work is with people who are our peer group. It's a small market. We are a 75,000 or a 1 lakh population where everybody knows everybody. The chances for her to work and be associated with businesses which are other than mine are almost zero. Therefore, what she would do, and it doesn't sound very right, but what she would do is to either run tuition classes or run a beauty parlor. Isn't running a mall a more prestigious way of doing this? And they call a supermarket which would be 700 square feet their own mall. So I think not losing your identity and actually saying that I'm an outsider and therefore a change agent, while retaining that enmeshing with the local enterprise as the person who brings the social capital to back your business, and in some manner acknowledging and using the fact that women are far better educated and raring to go with any new modern opportunity, I think are our lessons on what we have done with this so far. Coming back to Big Bazaar, just to dwell on this a little bit, what you see in Big Bazaar on the ground, and I'm sure all of you have been to one, while the Big Bazaars on the ground, some of them reflect our thinking of the year 2001, some of them reflect our thinking of the year 2012, but the belief side of Big Bazaar is made up of things of this kind. And therefore, our delivery to the customer by whatever we do is to make this modernity very, very accessible. And our target is every year there must be a new layer of the society which should experience it and accept modern way of shopping as a normal way of living. So that is the start with a customer point of view. Retain your identity, use that to design whatever you're offering, and have belief that if religion, which has really nothing tangible to offer, can achieve it, then on this model, all of us can also succeed, whether it's in metro cities or in tier 2, tier 3 markets. Namaste.
Thank you, Damodar. This was like a speed lesson, and I was frantically taking notes. And just a couple of quick observations that come to mind. I was having, talking about social capital and how, you really start the story small and then you take it beyond. I was speaking to these gentlemen from NJ, Neeraj and Jignesh, how they started in a small city of Surat and they made it a nationwide network. And what really sparked it was they got in a new product line. And exactly, like you said, Big Bazaar, retaining your own identity, not being afraid to be different, to project yourself as modern, a new face. So like you gave that example of in Kerala, these ladies wanting salwar kameez because it's not available in local stores. So bringing in a new product and being open and brash about it. So translating it to our business, I correlated with the NJ story. In Surat, they mentioned how they really started, these two friends out of college. They got in a new animal called mutual funds to that market. And JM Mutual Fund was the first product they took. And it was a new pitch, new idea. They were supported by good marketing material, good pitches. And that was the start of the story. They got their first 10, next 20, next 50 investors. And then they started to go the B2B model later. And that's a story in itself. So there are, if we really absorb some of the points what Damodar has mentioned, there are tremendous learnings for us in terms of using local entrepreneurs as par allies. Just the whole thinking behind your brand. I mean, have we really put that thinking into branding of our services? I mean, I can speak for my own company. A lot of times, I feel at Bajaj Capital, we are trying to be everything to everybody. So, do we really have a picture of the consumer in mind? Have we visualized the customer and the entire proposition? Have we tried to design it for that customer? So, and that's why, 15 years ago, we decided that we need to have segment-based. So we created different segments of private banking, wealth management, mass affluent, retail, so that you serve different segments of consumer and the proposition is tinkered while the back-end platform may be the same. So I had, before we open up to questions, I'm sure you have a lot of questions popping up. I had, Prem's permission to share my 5-bit. So to say, there are 4 thoughts which I had put together that how we could reach out to beyond 15 cities. So one, uncanny that I had also written that leverage the social networking thread of smaller cities. So all, as Damodar also mentioned, which is that these smaller cities are very well knit in a community. The social network is very strong. So the power of referencing, and just reflect back on Monica's presentation an hour earlier, it can work both ways for us. If we are taking something, a good proposition to consumer, and we've been able to clearly communicate the proposition, as Loai mentioned in the first 2 or 3 meetings, then we could have very quick buzz getting created. And we could have referencing, very strong referencing, much beyond what happens in big cities, because people don't have time here. So create awareness programs, use platforms like Rotary Club, Lions Club in smaller cities, neighborhood gatherings. So catch them young, We need to think of vocational training, certification programs for college. Friends, we are sitting on this gold mine. All the mutual funds, they now have this 2 basis points investor education kitty which they have to spend. And it can be spent in top 15 cities also, but the conversations I've had with people, they want to spend it in beyond 15 and really expand the market, go as per the mandate of SEBI. The amount as per current AUM comes to around 150 crores. Ajit, would that be a good ballpark? So about 150 crores is compulsorily to be spent by mutual funds or investor education. So what innovative ideas can we come up with and go with them and run these initiatives? So this is one thought I wanted to leave with you. Leverage social networking of smaller cities. This could be a way of reaching out to beyond 15. Second is the product range has to be different. So in these cities, it's obvious, that goal-based products will do much better. Wherever you leverage the family connections, and again, reflecting back on Damodar's presentation, look at the 3 generations they put in the picture of Big Bazaar. So people may be living as 4, 2 husband, wife, and 2 children, but their parents, even if they are living 100 miles away, the parents are always in their mind. And that is our different, social connect and fabric. I correlate this with Ameriprise survey. When Ameriprise recently entered India, I don't know how many of you have read the press release, that they did a detailed survey and they found that in India, guess what? Retirement planning is not the number 1 need. It is 7th or 8th. So what is the number 1 need? Family protection, family security, children's education. So it's all 5 or 6 family-oriented goals. You yourself come at number 6 or 7. So that is us, that is India. So our industry has pre-packaged products for children's education and these financial goals. So what products do we take to the market is the key. So these frontier markets, even though they are not frontier markets, we are talking about big cities, what products you take in there, they'll have to be different. So how people buy gold? Gold today, everybody is buying in a physical form. And there are these Joy Lucas and other brands who are running these SIPs of sorts. So how can we go there and educate people to buy gold in a non-physical form? And that could be a big opportunity for us. So the product range will have to be different in beyond 15 cities. And financial goal-based products have a generic mass appeal. That was point number 2. Number 3, and this is probably the most important, mutual funds have to emerge as a brand before a product. And this is something in all my conversations, I speak with all the marketing heads of funds, which is that are people clear what to expect from mutual funds? What is the one word, when you think of a bank, what is the one word that comes to your mind? When you think of Big Bazaar, there is a one word, I'm sure, which you have, which comes to mind. But have we as mutual fund industry thought of one word that comes to mind when somebody comes to us? What the obvious answer, in my view, the obvious answer for mutual funds, if you go by our 20-year track record, is wealth creation. So if banks stand for safety, the word safety comes to mind. For mutual funds, it is wealth creation. So after a lot of nudging and pushing, mutual funds have embarked upon this combined initiative. We were many years behind the Egg Association, but we finally got on way and we launched our program to have common awareness, but it's only 6 months and people are getting skeptical about it. So I believe a big part of this budget of investor education has to be spent in continued combined awareness in positioning of mutual funds as a wealth creation product. And finally, friends, the 4th point is that creating identity for the mutual fund advisor. So, like Damodar mentioned, that educated women could be a potential segment. SEBI itself in its new guidelines is hinting mutual fund advisor. Would that increase your social value? And so, social value is a very, very important decision hook which everybody has. So, what we as an industry, and again a bigger responsibility on asset management companies than we ourselves as advisors, that how would they going forward support us in branding the community of mutual fund advisors. So these were some thoughts I wanted to leave with you. Now, let's open up the house. Damodar is with us. Prem, how many questions can we have 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Okay, so 5 to 7 minutes. Let's have the questions in. Anybody? We are all hungry, it seems. Yeah, please.
Which required by these people is not yet presently available from manufacturer side, or rather say operationally. There are beyond 15 cities, there are many problems like MICA problem is there, ECS problem is there, KYD, if I want to become a advisor, KYD facility is not there, KYC facilities are not there. So this type of operational facilities are so many there in many mutual funds. There are no representatives, no offices are there. So like as you mentioned in Aadhaar, your presence is there, products are there. So definitely you can highlight and you can sell, but it is not possible in terms of mutual fund. So these are the problems. So how we can overtake these problems and we can sell these things aggressively?
Yeah, so I agree with you. So that's an important observation. Here we are talking about more the, the strategic aspects of moving out, but there are definitely operational challenges. But as we speak, the operational challenges are being addressed and eased up. So this up to 20,000, no KYC required is one of the very important relaxations. And also there are new platforms which are coming up. Some players I am aware have set up these exchange platforms. So in stock exchange, terminals are there in 2,000 towns. So you can reach out much beyond where mutual fund offices are there. So there are, as we are talking, new platforms are coming up, and again that's an opportunity. It is definitely a current challenge, but it's a coming opportunity. But I have no, that's probably not the core topic of conversation today, but I have no reason to disagree with you. Any other thoughts?
Most of what we sell, in reality, most of what we sell in a self-service format, if I look at it rationally, is already available in that market. What I'm offering is a distinct layer of modernity and branding to the experience. So in that manner, mutual funds as a category and individual brands as SKUs, in my language, have to find their own hooks which tell the customer that irrespective of the terrain differences that you have, irrespective of the last mile connectivity, etc., that you may have, this is a place that I can trust. This is a place which is modern, and I would like to, it becomes desirable to participate in a thing called a supermarket. It becomes desirable to say that grandfather invested in fixed deposit, grandsons don't invest in fixed deposit. I'm exaggerating, I'm extending the logic to make a point, but I think if you take that position, the rest of it is for the industry to sort out on the ground at an operational level. I don't see we having that constraint, whether it's in telecom, whether it's in investment in equity, etc. So I guess that should get sorted out.
Yeah. We now have these new platforms like Mobile Invest. I know of a couple of fund houses who have launched. Not the first transaction, but succeeding transactions. So, one can think of ideas, how to use that. So maybe open the account online and then service using the mobile. There are so many possibilities. And I see Ajit nodding his head there. Other questions? So till people whet their appetite, I would, Damodar, ask you a question, which is you spoke about consumer experience. So, Prem is a good friend of yours, and you as a consumer would have a fair experience of buying financial products and including mutual funds. So, like you in detail described the big bazaar consumer experience which included the store design dynamics, and the consumer psychology has been factored in. What is, as a consumer's perspective, and all of us are financial advisors sitting here, what is it that you expect? What is the ideal customer experience if you were to try and cook it up for us? You would expect as a mutual fund customer.
No, first and foremost, I see for my investment, insurance, equity, mutual funds competing for my attention. And even if I leave the rational part of it aside, in the insurance market, I see different brands owning up different values, different emotions of in a human's or in a family's life. I don't find those hooks to hold on to when I look at mutual funds as an investment. And we need it. I think to add a layer of values, to add a layer of what you stand for, to add a layer of emotion is a good thing to do, because everything else being equal, and trust me, when you deface most of the soaps and most of the shampoos that we sell, it's everything else being equal. And yet people in a die-hard manner vouch for one brand or the other. I think as an industry, branding is an imperative, segmentation is an imperative. Appeal segmentation, not merely rational segmentation in terms of size of investment or the kind of market, but appeal segmentation is no bad thing for us to do. And as a marketer, I would say, if the industry spends that nice juicy 150 crore number that you mentioned, part of it is sold on creating a connect and a reason why. And for me, if I'm selling mutual funds, my real competition is fixed deposits. I'm speaking as a consumer.
Yeah.
And to stand for something that is 21st century, stand for something that's the way the world does it, to stand for things which don't have to explain rationally why they are better, I think is a good place for you to appeal to me that much more.
Yeah, definitely. So, could you, elaborate on this using an example that as a consumer, let's say you are in the 20th city of India, what is your state of mind as a consumer, and what is it you are expecting from a mutual fund? How should they be addressing you? If you can just explain to us through an example. What values, what emotions? If you can just take an example of each.
I think if I'm in a relatively smaller market, if the proposition or the idea comes to me from a person that I know or from a person that I trust, otherwise is from a business house that has been there for 2 generations in my city, good starting point, and a familiarity in the mind, a perception which says that, oh, this, I have heard about brand X, brand Y or Z, whether it is in rational terms, one is talking about pride, the other is talking about family, the third is talking about child education. Does not matter, but if it is familiar, we underestimate the power of familiarity of an offering in markets of this kind. Given the familiarity and the friendliness of the channel through which it is coming, I would end up picking up from within that consideration set. So both these to me are important. You must have a mind share. You must have a mind share before I physically come into evaluating. You must about the category and about the individual brand. There must be a presupposition of some mind share that you built it over a period of time. And then in smaller the market, the friendlier the channel, the better. Yeah. The less impersonal the channel, the better is what I would say.
Yeah. Please.
So could you share what success or any lessons from that kind of selling? Because again, mutual funds can be the next thing, And second thing, with the opening of the sector in FDI and retail, you're seeing a lot of competition coming from outside, Walmart over. Is this a threat to Big Bazaar, or is this an opportunity because this opens up the entire pie, the whole pie shifts higher. And the same is in the context of mutual funds. So if today the mutual fund is a very small industry, if it is going to open up tomorrow hugely and other players are going to come, is it good for the advisors or is it a kind of threat to the existing? Yeah, thank you.
The first question of selling insurance in a funny manner at big bazaars, I think the starting premise was very simple. The penetration of insurance purchase is so low that can we make sachets out of it, which could be sampled, and people having consumed it once, having started the conversation with us, then we sell the rest of the offering as an upgrade from that experience. So could you take a little bit of insurance? It's funny as it sounds, but worked very well for us. We were distinct. People took a little sachet of insurance for 99 rupees in their pocket home along with their groceries. It generated the kind of lead and the mind share in the mind of our prospective consumers, which are very, very interesting for us. So it was a shot at breaking the mold and appealing to the customer, not in the traditional sequential manner in which all other brands were doing. Like I said, like most things modern, even self-service retailing, the penetration levels are significantly lower. All of us, even in the best of metro cities, all of us put together in modern retail would be around 20% of the market. So any kind of patient capital coming in, any kind of organized way of presenting modern self-service retail to the customer will only help the entire sector. If you add the growth numbers of consumption that we are all betting on here, the economic growth to it, and if you add the collective plans of all of us modern organized retailers, and the plans that in the future which are supported by even multinational capital and strategic investor, when you add it all together, the throughput that is going through, the commercial throughput that is going through even the mom and pop entrepreneurial retailer stores would not decline. When you have a 10% per annum consumption increase as the base, there are no losers when you add the numbers. There are only opportunity losers. So I think the greater the liberalization, the greater the choice offered to the consumer. And we are saying modern retail is only a pipe. We are not really selling our products. We are a showcase for products. And if we self-service format inherently increases the choice for the customer, which boosts up consumption, and therefore there is a whole backward economic linkage to the entire economy coming from there. So anything that widens the pipe of choice for the customer is good for all of us here.
So, guys, we know you're hungry, and and Prem has given us the thumbs up to close the session. So, thank you very much, Damodar. One big takeaway which I take from this session is that, and a lot of us friends sitting here are IFAs who made a mark in their community. One big challenge, the single biggest challenge and opportunity for us in this business, whether we are a bank or a national regional distributor or an IFA, is scaling. How do we scale up our proposition? We are doing very well. We've been accepted in our community, and we made a mark there. So if we were to somehow, go back and reflect on this conversation we've had this afternoon, and we were to, try to formally package our proposition, as a 99 rupees sachet, as Damodar mentioned, and think of taking it out to other cities, and can we sell this proposition to other people? So all these successful networks like LPL in US or NJ in India, how they started off as IFA firms, but they packaged their proposition and took it out. In our business, the proposition could be research, it could be operations, it could be advice, it could be financial planning. How can we, if we have something special, how can we package it and sell it to somebody? There are people sitting out there. There are educated women entrepreneurs. There are people who are hungry for recognition, power in their community. And if you take something interesting to them, they should listen. And that could be our opportunity to go into the next league. So I'll leave you with this thought. Thank you very much, Damodar, for opening up our mind. And enjoy your lunch, friends.